Hey guys, if you haven't already, give the video a like, subscribe to my channel. This is a what if series and I'll be doing more down the road. Plus Ultra!
Hey guys, and welcome to What If Deku Had Ultra Instinct. Now, it's been a while, so I'm not going to waste you guys any time, but I'm just going to say two things that I forgot to mention in part one. That Deku has the access to Ki. Just like two abilities that I wanted to give him out of that is the ability to, you'll see in this part, you'll see the both of them. Anyway, without any further ado, let's just get back into the story of where we left off. So Momo and Deku have succeeded against Bakugo and Tenya, with Deku hitting Tenya with an air fist and using his speed to touch the bomb. Now Momo did play a huge part of being a distraction, and that's pretty harsh to say, but mainly that's what it was, to keep Tenya, because Tenya either was too smart and basically evaded some of her stuff, but she had then used her knowledge to create something that Tenya couldn't run on, and that put him in a corner to where he was too focused on her to notice that Deku sped right past him. And if you want to go too much detail about that. But anyway, that would just play out normally, as it did in canon. Now, Deku would go to a grassy field to train, and so does Bakugo. Not going to the same place as Deku, but somewhere he can train. He needs to get stronger right now. Bakugo is extremely bitter about losing to Deku, so he wants to train as much as he can. Now, before we continue, there are some levels of Ultra Instinct that I do have to mention. And I got this from a YouTuber who went into explanation of this. If you guys want to check out his channel, it's in the description below. But it was pretty interesting how he described the different levels of Ultra Instinct. And some of them are like the evolution that Goku's going into. Basically, if you guys are caught up to speed with the manga, is that Vegeta and Goku are going through some godly training actually this time. And it's like Goku is going more of the path of the angels, while Vegeta is going in the path of the god of destruction, if that makes sense. Anyway, we're off topic. But back to what I was saying, I want to mention these levels, and these are the levels that Dekus are gonna currently go through. Now, Procedural Ultra Instinct is where your senses are at a high point, that you can basically see the opponent's attack patterns and tactics. And this is not like he's using Ultra Instinct, Sign, or Omen, whatever you want to call it. It's just him not going into that state. It's just him having mastery over his martial arts and using Ultra Instinct in his base form, which is just basically self-explanatory. Anyway, now Ultra Instinct, Sign, and Omen is dodging and evading the opponent's attacks. This is a mix between offense and defense. While the defensive portion is higher, but the attacks might not be as effective as mastered Ultra Instinct, but they still pack a huge punch. They still do some damage to an extent. Anyway, and the level that Deku is currently at is around the time where Goku transformed into the second state of Ultra Instinct when he was going against Kefla. And that's the level that Deku is currently at. But now Deku is scratching the surface towards the third form, and he's been at the third, scratching the surface towards that. So right now, Deku is actually pushing his training very, very hard and been training for literally all day. Since it was a free day for him, he was training literally all day just to see if he can push this power to the extent that it can be. And so far, he's getting close. Very close. Now, Deku is having so much fun getting used to this Ultra Instinct state. It's so easy to control, so easy to maneuver. He's getting so used to this, and he wants to see if evolving this power further, what's beyond this state. It has to be something else. It has to be. I know it has to be because I did it before. At least I think I did. I don't too much remember. Now, that's just basically nothing. Anyway, back to the story. So while Deku's quirk is not always active in his childhood, it was more so active when he first activated against Bakugo. He was in that state for a while until his mom took him to the scientific research and studies facility, and while he's been there, while he's been training with those people, while they've been doing tests and stuff like that, he's also been learning for the past 5 years to turn his quirk off and on. And being in a state of instinct is basically taxing. It does drain, but Deku's gained some control over it, a lot of control over it actually. And something that they gotta retcon about that is the level of control that Deku has over his Ultra Instinct Omen state is equivalent to the third state of like Goku going against Jiren. That's what I wanted to say. It's equivalent to the third state of Goku going against Jiren. I'm sorry I blotched that up right there. But upon from all the years that he's been training, even learning to turn it off and to be tapping into the power, like his quirk willingly, meaning that Deku has gotten very stronger in his quirk and stronger with training at this facility, learning different styles of martial arts and also learning to hone his ability so much so that he learns to use Ultra Instinct like in his base form. So he's learned to turn it off in the 5 years, but he's also learned to use Ultra Instinct in his base form, saving the transformation for a last resort. Deku's skills and strength in his base form are around All Might using 50% of One For All. And since the day he found out he had a quirk, he's been training as hard and as brutal as he could, while doing some calm-hearted training too, such as meditating, getting in touch with nature, and relaxing, not just putting your all into training. He also relaxes and knows when to take a break or a breather. Now, while Deku's in his grassy field training, he starts to meditate to dive deeper and deeper into instinct, trying to evolve his quirk. And for a small brief moment, Deku's hair was starting to glow white, and then he got exhausted from literally training all day. The toll hit him hard, with purple sharks shooting out of his body. Deku was screaming out in pain as this aura just erupted around him, trying to, like, the toll was like heavy, and then he just collapsed to the ground. Now Deku breathing out. I'm close. I'm so close. I can feel it. This power. When I master this quirk, I'll be way stronger. Stronger than ever before. And then I can take that power and improve and master. Actually, I think I'll perfect this power and become the #1 strongest hero. Then Deku goes home for the rest and prepares for tomorrow. For the rest of the night and prepares for tomorrow, since it was getting late. Now, time to skip back to Class 1A. The class would be electing their 2 presidents, with Deku and Momo being first picks. But Deku denies being the class president and points at Tenya. This guy has way more experience, and I don't know what it is, but when I look at him, he reminds me of someone who can take charge and level down situations pretty easily. So pretty much choose him. He's a very good option. And plus, I don't have the patience or the time to do something that's not exciting and boring like being class president. And Tenya would say, it's not boring. And Deku would just look at Tenya and say, I'm just being honest, and walk back to his seat. So as everything plays out normal like that, the only thing is Tenya is the class president instead of Deku. Anyway, Shoto Aizawa would announce that the students will be taking part in the USJ program or facility. As the date comes, all the students enter on the bus. I skip past a portion of that with the classes basically get into a frenzy, and the class basically announcing their dominance and stuff like that. Just get into the exciting parts. Anyway, but I'm gonna start going into more detail with all that when I start actually doing a lot of My Hero Academia what ifs. But I'm going off topic. Anyway, so as the students enter on the bus, Suyu would ask Deku about his quirk. Hey Deku, your quirk seems to be really strong. What all can you do? She would ask. Now all the students would be very interested in hearing Deku's answer. Deku would look at Suyu with very calm eyes and say, imagine your body having a mind of its own. When we fight or go into battle, we put so much thought in our attacks. When I was a kid, I have to admit that I had problems with my quirk. It was hard for me to use it, but I was stuck in instinct. I had to learn to turn it off, but I also had to learn to train as hard as I could to master self-movement and the ability to strike without thought. When my quirk first activated, it was like I was doing the impossible. At such a young age, my speed, my strength, and durability was not normal. I'm still scratching the surface in mastering this power. But yeah, that's mostly the easiest way to explain my quirk. If you want more detail, then pay close attention to when I fight. Now Bakugo would scoff at Deku and continue looking out the window, with some of the students asking Deku a ton of questions, such as Momo, Uraraka, and Kirishima. Now Tinya, Ojo, and Todoroki would eye Deku. Now he's on their radar as a potential rival. Deku would stop everybody from asking him so many questions and would speak out. You know, it's good that you guys are so interested in my quirk, but it would be best to introduce yourselves and your quirk first. Just saying. And one of the students would go to introduce themselves and their quirk. Once that's all done, the class would just be talking amongst each other, and Suyu would ask Deku is his quirk similar to All Might, which Deku would reply with a simple no. My quirk is on a whole different level. My power is something that should be divine, at least from everything I've witnessed in my childhood. This power seems to be far on the impossible side, Deku said while in a meditation state, not even making eye contact with Suyu. So I'm kinda lost, Kirishima said. Deku opened his eyes, eyes like I was saying earlier. My quirk allows my body to move on its own, like separating the mind from the body. If that makes sense. Such a feat shouldn't exist. But hey, the world is full of impossible. Anyway, I'm not the only one with a flashy quirk. Todoroki and Bakugo, for example, Deku said. Yeah, the two of them do have some flashy quirks, Kirishima said. Yes, that's true, but I don't see Bakugo becoming anything popular with his attitude, Suyu said, only getting a scoff out of the blonde. Now, time skip. We now arrive at the USJ, where the class is greeted by Pro Hero 13, who escorts the class and gives them a speech about wielding their quirks for the sake of human life. After that's done, Shota and Deku sees a purplish-black portal open, and dozens of villains come out. Deku gets a bad feeling that comes over him. These are real villains, Shoto shouts and tells 13 that in the class to stand back. 13, guard the students and keep them safe, while he gets to a fighting stance, activating his quirk and readying his scarf. Deku closes his eyes as his aura starts to flare, his hair standing up slightly. Deku puts his arms to the side and clenches his fists and says, "This is the chance. I can do this. I've been training for this. It's not too many of them. It's not too much to handle. Okay, just breathe." And Deku would yell out with a huge two-voice war cry. His aura would shoot up in a pillar-like formation similar to how Goku did against Kefla. Now, before Shota could tell Deku to get back, he was gone, battling against the villains. Shigaraki, sorry, I had to swallow there, Jesus. Shigaraki tells Kurogiri to teleport the students away very, very far. Just getting them out of the battle. He needs to assess the situation here. Nobody told him about a brat that can do things that All Might can do. He moved so fast that he didn't even see the kid. Before Deku was just taking out, it was happening very fast. Shigaraki then goes to laugh and saying, "Where is All Might? We are here to kill him. We are the League of Villains. And that so-called symbol of peace is long overdue for death." Deku hears this and flies. Yes, that was one of the powers that I was telling you that I wanted to give Deku. And I thought, why not? Since it's kind of unique and I wanted to do something with it in this particular what if. Anyway, so as Deku ends up flying towards as fast as he could to save save all the students from being captured. Yes, Deku moved so fast that he saved at least every student from being captured, sort of being in his own paradox, the amount of speed that he had before Kurogiri could even move or contemplate just what happened. "How did you... That shouldn't even be possible. He moved so fast." Kurogiri said, freaked out, that this kid moved at insane speed to do that. "Don't worry, you guys. I'll protect you, for I'm right here. I won't let these guys do anything to you. I don't know what their problem is, but this will not happen. Or I fucked that up so bad. Anyway, Deku is sitting there protecting his classmates with his arms stretched out to the side, letting like Ozawa know that he's got this. Now Ozawa is shocked, and when I mean shocked, Ozawa is having his mouth on the floor right now. This kid is doing something insane. Like, who trained him to even move that fast? What kind of quirk does he have? Is this All Might's successor? He starts to think. And like, he's just looking at Deku with very wide eyes. But Choto Aizawa, being a teacher, he would try to turn off Deku's quirk to just keep him safe, to tell him to get back and get into safety. But Deku tells him, don't do that. I wouldn't do that if I were you. And these purple shocks started to irradiate right over Choto Aizawa, and he fell to the ground. Something like this can't be forcefully turned off. This quirk, like I said on the bus to my fellow classmates, should be something that's divine. I myself had a hard time trying to turn this quirk off, so I don't think a simple glaring with your eyes will turn it off that easily. If so, I would have looked for you a long time ago. And I possibly would have stayed around you for a long time. And I know you wouldn't have want that, would you? Now, Shoto Aizawa would be just on the ground, just basically a little shaken up by that attack, that whatever just happened. And Deku says, I apologize for that, but I'll do more explaining about my quirk to you and the teachers about everything that I can do. Anyway, Shigaraki then calls out the Nomu. Half of the villains were too scared to engage. This one child smashed their confidence. Hey, you, whoever you are, this is your first and final warning. Leave now, Deku said, giving Shigaraki a cold stare. We're not going anywhere until All Might is dead, he said. Deku then lifts up his hand, and a white silverish circular orb starts to form. This is something new. I've been practicing. Delaware Blast. Now, the Nomu would guard Shigaraki from the attack. However, the Nomu was damaged. It started to heal. Nomu, kill that brat, Shigaraki said angrily. The mindless beast charged at Izuku with such speed, throwing multiple strikes, which Deku was dodging and striking back. The wind pressure from these two were incredible. The students had to cover their eyes due to the loud sound their fist was making. The fist was clashing. It sounded like trucks hitting each other. You're wasting your time. He's an experiment of multiple quirks, and one of them is shock absorption, Shigaraki said, trying to hold his ground against the heavy wind pressure. Noted. So there's a limit to how much this monster can take, Deku said. Well, I'll just beat the shock absorption out of him. Deku's movement started to get faster. His strikes started to get stronger and stronger. Each hit was starting to be too much for the Nomu to handle as it started to cough up blood. And Deku kicked the Nomu into the air as a blue silverish blur sent a thunderous kick to the Nomu's stomach. He's so fast. The class looked at Deku, who was in the air, that sent the huge kick to the Nomu's stomach, sending the beast shooting towards the ground, creating a massive crater. Deku landed with such a ground-breaking, ground-shaking smash. Now hear this, class. Something I want to tell all of you. To be a hero is to go beyond your limits, to break every limiter that's holding you back, to achieve things that you never thought you could achieve. Deku said, cupping his hands, as a purplish silverish energy starts to form in his hands. His aura spikes and he yells, "Plus Ultra Cannon!" and blasts the Nomu head on, sending the beast straight into the atmosphere, into the space, disintegrating it, so nothing was left. I had to take that chance. Yes, that was fun. I had to do that one. Deku gets back up, and as he breathes out, saying, then he looks at Shigaraki with his silver eyes, and Shigaraki and Kurogiri hurry up and get out of there with the rest of the villains hurry up and behind them. This actually put fear into Shigaraki's heart. He's never seen anyone like this. This guy actually destroyed a Nomu and it was like nothing to him. I bet you could have killed that Nomu if you wanted to. You were bragging, Shigaraki said in his bar, slamming his fist against the counter. He was bragging, Kurogiri. He was doing that. It was a joke to him. We were nothing. This one kid. That Nomu wasn't even a challenge, not even close. And Shigaraki saying, what do you mean? That was all just a showmanship of fear. He put fear in my heart. Shigaraki clenched his teeth as he began scratching the skin in his neck, as his neck was starting to bleed from the pressure that he was trying to emit. But then he let out a smile and said, this is all the more interesting. Now I got 2 people that I need to kill. Now preparations for this needs to grow. We now need to improve. We now need to enact and get stronger. Search out for recruits. It's time to expand my horizon. This battle with that brat is far from over, Shigaraki said, putting the hand on his face. Now, Deku stands back, walks towards Shoto Aizawa and asks if everyone's safe. And this is where Deku smiles and gives the class a heartwarming thumbs up and tells them that I told you I had it. This was easy. Now, the class would be happy and cheering that Deku was doing this, and this is where they'll be at, like, he's so strong. He's like a miniature All Might. And the fact that you said, I am here, now this will make Bakugo scoff and try to run at Deku, with Deku basically dodging each and every one of his strikes. Now, Shoto would wrap up Bakugo, but can't seem to get his bandages on Deku for that little stunt that he pulled when he looked at him. Now, Deku's saying, I didn't do that. That wasn't me. That wasn't me intentionally putting you in that incapacitative state or being defiant. That's just, you can't physically shut my power off. If you want information about that, I would care likely to explain it to you. But due to the fact, I guess most of the facility is damaged, it's going to take us some time before we can actually do this whole thing. 13 said as she stands back up from the immense wind pressure. I mean, from everything that's going on, the class was literally blown away, but there was all too much they were all excited that Deku did this insane feat. Now, as everything would clear up and the students would have to go home for the rest of the day, since the USJ incident is being canceled due to the villain attack, but being broadcast, like, Shoto is debating on what he should say to the media, what he should say, with All Might and the rest of the teachers in the classroom saying that this kid just single-handedly took out the villainous attack. I barely did anything in that attack. I managed to catch a few villains, but it's like I barely seen him, his skills, his techniques, and All Might even compliments on this, saying that it was one time where I seen young Midoriya. He was in an alleyway as I was chasing this one sludge monster, and it was like I wanted him to be my successor, but anyway, not even much of that. Now, as the teachers are discussing what they should tell the media, like how this whole event played out and what happened, how did they defuse the situation, how come no heroes was alerted, because the situation was diffused before it could even get started. Anyway, so as everything plays out normal, Deku and Momo started to do more talking with each other. And more talking is more, they started to more hang out. Deku started to learn more about her. Deku started to learn, very much talk with her more, just getting into more elaborate, getting a deeper connection with Momo. And no, that not that kind of connection, you pervert. Anyway, it's not that kind of connection. They're just talking and most likely just learning about each other's. And Momo was asking Deku a bunch of questions about his power and about what he can do, with Deku basically just showing her the skills and Momo and him just teasing and playing with each other, with Momo trying to hit Deku as they started training and her making a pout face, with Deku just smiling and rubbing her head like they do in anime. You know. Anyway, that's it for this part. This is all I got for you guys tonight. I'm gonna upload another video. Gotta get to what if Deku was Deku was Beerus' reincarnation. Anyway, without any further ado, you guys have a good day, a good night, and plus ultra. Good night, guys.